Because this is where we are all going wrong. We are giving things that the child wants but does not need. So there is a difference between a need and a want. So it is important sometimes to discipline. But when you discipline all the time, because in his mind he's wondering, why does mommy and daddy sleep together? So this is something that disturbs the minds of children.
How comes that pastors, reverends, bishops, they're the people that we run to when our kids misbehave, when our kids are not doing right? The people who guide us and counsel our kids. How is it that sometimes you find that their kids are the ones that are spoiled, are the ones that are going the wrong direction? What happens?
Oh my God, this is a difficult question, Helen, because I love my pastor. There should be boundaries should be put long before we get married. And I always tell people who are in blended family, don't make a mistake of entering into a blended family before you see a counselor.
Watching High Step TV.
Now, who is supposed to discipline the kids? Or are we supposed to discipline the kid collectively? Or what happens in terms of who is supposed to give discipline?
Discipline, when it comes to corporal discipline, when they started taking back, when they started doing things that you cannot even control, that is now when you realize how it was important to take your children to church. What do children need? What is this that the children need? So that we know that watoto hawataki pesa. They don't want money. You give your child money, he doesn't even know what to do with the money. So I want to tell the single parents that that is number one. Your child needs to have a father figure in his life, not to provide, because you will talk to a single mother and she will tell you, what doesn't I give to my son? That is why I am saying in this blended family, because it's a very serious affair, sit down. Make rules and regulations of what is going to happen. Stop saying you will love our children. Tell me what you are going to do for them. There should be boundaries should be put long before we get married. And I always tell people who are in blended family, don't make a mistake of entering into a blended family before you see a counselor.
Beautiful people, godly bonds. You're watching High Step TV.
Hello, Bonding Nation. Welcome to yet another episode of The Bond Show on High Step TV. Feel welcomed, feel loved, feel appreciated. Today, we have an amazing guest. She's a counselor. And today we are going to take a different direction from our usual. And of course, our topic today is good. If you are there, you are a parent. If you are there, you are married and expecting to be a mother or a father in the near future, or you are parenting currently and you want tips. You want to find ways of bringing up your children into positive adults. Today, this is your show. Welcome sana to the show. And of course, feel free to subscribe on our channel, High Step TV, so that, and click on the notification bell so that when we upload new content, you'll be among the first people to get notified. And also, give us a thumbs up on our videos so that we know that you're liking our content. Also, you can send in your questions on all my social media platforms, which are Helen_Kibali on Instagram, Helen Kibali on Facebook, and Helen Kibali on YouTube. Remember to like our pages so that at least you put us ahead, and we shall appreciate that. On the show today, let us reason like this. You know, long gone are the days where innocent childhood was a thing. Nowadays, with the rampant increase in sexual violence, domestic violence, and also social media, there's little room for innocent childhood. And of course, today, our guest is going to answer all our questions on parenting and we can learn ways through her of how we can bring up our children and protecting them from the society, protecting them from the global influence that is out there. We are here courtesy of High Step TV, courtesy of High Step Media. Please kindly reach us on all our social media platforms, which are High Step TV, on both Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Like our pages, tuweke mbele hivo. And also send in your questions through my social media handles, which are Helen_Kibali on Instagram, Helen Kibali on both Facebook and YouTube. Give us those likes. We really appreciate. If you're part of this show, if you're part of this bonding family, you've subscribed to this channel, asante sana. God bless you. We appreciate you and we love you for being part of this family. If you've not done so, please like, please subscribe to our channel, and you shall receive our content as we proceed. Before the end of the show, we are also going to answer some of your questions from our previous show, and I believe that our counselor is well able to answer all those questions. So please kindly keep them coming, and we shall tackle them in the next shows as we proceed. Please, let us welcome our guest on the show. Karibu sana to the show.
Asante sana,
Yes,
Helen.
kindly introduce yourself to our viewers.
Thank you, High Step TV, for inviting me today and giving me a chance to be here today.
Yes.
So that we can talk on parenting and more of it on blended families. And I thank God to be here. Such a beautiful topic and a good topic to talk about. Because as you have said, in the world today, we are heading to that direction where we'll have so many blended families because of the cases of the single parents that we are having today.
Yes.
So it's a good topic to look at. And I want to welcome our viewer, sit down, watch, and listen. And I believe that they will have something. Yes.
Yes. Viewers, I believe that you're bringing up your kids and you want the best for them. I know you know a sister, a cousin, a friend who is a single parent or looking forward to getting married and they have a kid. That one is going to be a blended family. Of course, because they are coming in with kids in the relationship, and maybe the person they are getting married to will also come in with kids. That is a blended family. This is the show for you. And of course, if you're not a blended family, I know you're going to tap something from this show, because we are talking about raising our kids in a godly way to become positive adults. Karibu sana on the show. My dear Elizabeth, now tell us, what do you understand by blended families, and what can you tell our viewer about it?
Yeah, blended family, Helen, is whereby we come into marriage with children from the previous relationships. Maybe I was married and I had a broken marriage and I had 2 children, and the guy the same. Maybe he was married, maybe the wife died and left 2, 3 children, and so we meet and agree to get married and come together with our children in this marriage. This is what we call a blended family. Maybe a girl had a child even before she got married, maybe in school, maybe after school, and then he meets this guy who wants to marry her. And then she comes with a child. Then they will get children with this man. This is also a blended family. This is what we call blended families.
So a single mother who gets married to a man that does not even have children will fall on that bracket of
because
blended
they will
family.
get children with this man.
Then there will be a lot of blended families now and in the future.
Yeah. And now these children that this man didn't, the girl came with, this is not their father, it's a stepfather. And so that is where now the blended family comes in. How is this man going to treat these children who have come with the girl, and now these ones that they have gotten with this girl? How is he going to blend the children and treat all of them like his? This is why it falls also in a blended family.
Do adopted children fall under that bracket?
Yeah, if they come in a family where there's children, they fall in that bracket. But if they come in a family where there's no children, they don't fall under that bracket.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So as we speak of blended families, yes, we also speak of parenting as a whole.
Yes.
What are the challenges currently that are facing parents in the 21st century?
My goodness, Helen, there's so many challenges that are facing parents. You know, when we were growing up, there were not many things happening. There were no TVs. There were no, we didn't have anything about to do with pornography.
You're watching High Step TV.
And all those things. And there is so much exposure today that is really a challenge to our children. But when we were growing up, you would just wake up and go to school and come back. There's nothing else.
Yes.
There were no rapes. There were no such things because the moral values were very heightened. But today, the challenges that the parents are having are so many. Starting with the media that has exposed our children to so many things. It has exposed them to pornography. It has exposed them to early sex. It has exposed them to videos that are introducing our children to very early love affairs. And parents are just confused. They don't know what to do with their children. They don't know what to tell them because now, as we grew, we never knew these things. So they are coming to us and we are wondering, what do we do? When you enter into a bedroom and find your child watching pornography, now where do you start? What do you do about this? What do you tell him? You have never even seen that pornography yourself. So what do you tell the child? When you come in and you find them watching love affairs, love videos, you know, you're wondering, you have never seen them. Even when you entered in love, some things you never came to know them. So what are you going to tell your children? When they go to school, there's so much exposure, even in school. There's drugs that are even in primary schools. These are the challenges there are so many challenges in bringing up the young people. And so the parents need to have a lot of knowledge on what to do with the children, because we are making so many mistakes when you are bringing up the children today because we want to bring them up the way we were brought up. It is not possible. The world has changed, and so we need to change with the world and you know, just come up with strategies to bring up the children with the new world ways. Yes.
And my dear, as we bring them up, and in our current society, with all that exposure of social media, and of course war, and of course violence, and we want to bring them up in a godly way, how do we discipline then without restricting them from learning, without restricting them from getting to learn for themselves?
Yes.
How do we insulate them and protect them from the global influence, yet letting them, giving them the choice, giving them the freedom to choose on their own?
You see, Helen, when we were growing up, matters of sex were never discussed. It was a no-go zone. You could not sit down and talk with your parent about sex. In fact, if you would go that way, nikichapo utapata.
True.
So we never discussed about sex and we never talked about it. And so this is the way we are trying to bring up our children, which is very wrong. A child at an age of 3 knows mtoto hanunuliwi.
Exactly.
Just go and tell her that we are buying another child. You will be shocked. She will laugh, or he will laugh at you and he will tell you, Mami, mtoto hanunuliwi, mtoto anazaliwa. And then you're wondering, how did you know that mtoto anazaliwa?
Yes.
So this tells you how much we need to inform our children and to keep them informed about things that are happening in the world. You tell them things, matters about sex as early as an age of 12 or from 10. Start telling them things about sex, matters about men, that even your uncle, my brother or your brother or daddy's brother, you should not trust him. Make sure that you keep your distance if you're a girl or even a boy, because we know what is happening to our boys today. Start informing your child why you are telling him or her to keep away from the uncles, to keep away from the cousins, to be careful because your cousin can tell you this and that and the other. Inform them. Let us keep our children informed as early as possible. This girl of 3 years who knows that a child is not bought, what else does she know? You're wondering, ndio akuje kujua mtoto hanunuliwi, what else does she know? So it is always good. If a child tells you mtoto hanunuliwi, muite. Just ask the child, who told you that a baby is not bought? Where does the baby come from? How does it happen? So that you know how much does the child know, so that you will be able to control what the child knows and give her the right information. Because our children are being lured into sex slowly, because this child does not know anything. So when a cousin calls the child into the bedroom and starts harassing the baby doesn't know anything. Hata akiguzwa hajui. So tell your child where someone should touch her and where someone should not touch her. Let us inform our children as early as possible. Let us inform them about drugs as early as possible. Because some of our children are introduced into drugs without knowing. Atapewa sigara tu, ataambiwa ni sigara, kube ni bangi. So this child, inform the child as early as possible. If you see someone giving you this, if you see someone telling you this, you should do this, you should do the other, as early as possible. Yes.
I've seen in CBC, the new curricula, where they are told there's a song that these are my private parts, this and this and that. They are learning that.
Yes.
But of course, there are kids that are very curious and they want to know. Like my son, he came to me and asked me, Mom, what is sex?
Yes.
And he's 8 years old. And the first thing that shocked me was, where did he learn this word? And then the next thing that came to my mind is, now, how do I explain
to the child
what sex is? Now, in my case, how do we explain now to the child such, because they're very curious now, and at a very small age, they come to you with these questions. How do you answer them in their level of understanding, yet without lying to them? Because if you lie to them, then they'll get answers from outside, and they might not be very good answers.
Yes.
How do we explain such?
I love the way you started by asking yourself, where did you know this word from? Because that is the starting point. Where did you learn the word sex from? And what were you doing so that you learned this word? Whoever told you about it, what did he tell you what it is, or what did she tell you what it is? Because sometimes they learn it in school. And those boys who have so much exposure, you know, from maybe us parents, because there are people who sleep with their children even when they are big, and you tell yourself it's just a kid, and then this child never sleeps. He will keep waiting. Yes, because in his mind he's wondering, why does mommy and daddy sleep together? So this is something that disturbs the minds of children. Because yeye halalangi na mtu. Why does mommy and daddy sleep together? So he wants to know. So if you sleep with this child for a long time, he will want to know why you sleep together. And this boy will not sleep at night. And that is where they learn some things. Some others learn from the TV and the medias. So you want to know, what do you know about sex? What do you think sex is? Who told you about it? And what did that person tell you what it is? So before you give the right information, you need to know the wrong information so that you can remove it from the mind of the child and now give the right information. And just tell him in black and white what sex is and who does it, so that whoever tells her or him to do sex, she will be able to answer, Mommy told me it's not done by children, it's done by married people. It's only after I am married that I am supposed to do that. Because they will be told in school, they will be called by the other boys, come, we have sex, even girls. Because this is what is happening in this 21st century. So you tell them in black and white what it is and who does them and at what age, all those things, so that this boy now carries the right information. Whoever talks to him or her about sex, now he has the information. Yes.
From what I'm gathering from you is as opposed to the early times or ages where we were brought up like being disciplined, where when something happens, pain is inflicted on you. We take a different approach in our current times and bring up our children in teaching them.
Yes.
Let them learn. So as you said, we tell them,
Yes.
we teach them.
Yes.
This is what this is.
Inform them. Informed. Give them the right information, because in the world the wrong information is everywhere.
True.
It is everywhere. So you have to give the right information so that the child will always have the right information. So when the wrong comes, he has the right one. If he doesn't have the right one, he will do the wrong one, because that is what is everywhere in the world.
So we can insulate them by giving them knowledge.
Yes, give them knowledge. Okay, I always say disciplining once in a while, it's okay. It's okay. I am not against disciplining a child because it is biblical. Discipline your child. Show him the right way to follow, and he will never depart from it, even when he is old. So it is important sometimes to discipline. But when you discipline all the time, the child gets used to it. So it doesn't have any effect. There is a time you will pinch. There is a time you will beat. And he will know, ukiona mami amenipinch, hiyo imekuwa out of this world. Amekasirika kabisa. But the other times, let us sit down and talk to them. They hear, they understand, they know what we are talking about. Actually, when you introduce the topic, you will be shocked how much he knows about that topic. Just go introduce that topic of sex to him, the 8-year-old. You will be surprised.
I did sometime.
Yes.
And actually the reason I did was because after now that incident of asking what sex is, he came and told me, Mom, I've learnt the 10 commandments, and there are 3 points that I don't understand. There are 3 commandments I don't understand. Then he narrated them, and among those 3 that he did not understand, he said, do not commit adultery. What does that mean?
Yes. So you had to come up and tell the
Yes.
child. Yeah.
And God knows that you sometimes you're out of words to make his small mind. So you're thinking now, how do I explain it to him without going overboard, so that you don't overwhelm his small mind.
And then you don't give more
too much information.
He needs,
Yes. Wow. Okay. Now there's freedom and there's choice. Yes. When we give our kids freedom, of course, nowadays we buy tablets, some have phones. So that means you've given that child the freedom to be on the internet or to use those gadgets. Now, and you've given them the freedom to choose what to watch. But then on that internet, on that phone, on that tablet, there are pedophiles.
Yes.
There are sexual predators. There are contents that are not godly. How do we protect them from such?
Again, we are coming back to information, to to creating awareness to our children. Because when we create awareness, we let that child go into another level of knowledge. And we said wrong information is everywhere. The right information is what the child does not have. So it is the work of the parent to always give the right information. And I always ask myself, sometimes it's good as a parent to ask yourself, what does a child want in life? So that whatever the child does not need, whatever the child does not want, you don't give. Because this is where we are all going wrong.
We are giving things that the child wants but does not need. So there is a difference between a need and a want. I might want a phone, but do I really need it? Because sometimes you look at a child of primary school and you're wondering, does he really need a phone?
No, he doesn't.
I don't think he needs one. Even a secondary child, high school child, I don't think he needs. It's a need. Okay, nowadays they are doing some things with the phone. If you don't have a laptop, you can use a phone. But I always say, let the child use mommy's phone. Because mommy's phone, we can be able to block anywhere that we don't want our child to go. But the moment you give that child a phone and it belongs to him, hakuna mahali hata enda.
What if you give him and you've blocked those sites that can pop up those information that we don't need?
You still control the gadget. Because if you give that child a phone, ashinde nayo the whole day, what will he be doing with the phone? Then it means he will be on the phone throughout the day. And why they are getting addicted to phones. By the way, most of the cases that we are treating today is phone addiction on the children. Because the child has a phone of his own. So nobody controls the phone. So when he gets home after school, he will go straight with the phone to the bedroom. Na hatalala nayo, hatalala huyo mtoto. Hatalala maybe 2. He's in the phone throughout. And now he gets addiction of the phone. So every time he wants to be on the phone. Hata ukiongea hasikii. I saw another nephew of mine. The mother is talking. He can't hear. Ako kwa yani simu imembeba kabisa. Until I had to tell the mother, do away with this phone completely. Because this child is going to get a phone addiction. These are the addictions that we are working on today, phone addiction and drugs addiction, because this is what children are getting addicted to. So that is why I am saying, differentiate a want and a need in your child, so that you give them what they need, and what they want, you give them in bits. In bits. Let's control these phones. It's okay to have the phone because today they are using them in school, but then control it. It's phone for 30 minutes. It's phone for just an hour, and then you place it there. And let there be rules and regulations in our houses, because what again is disturbing our children is that they don't know boundaries. They don't know boundaries because we never set boundaries in the first place. So they don't know. So when you come to instill something, they become very hostile because they have not known boundaries. Boundaries are among the things that we should talk about as families in the house. We sit down and say, when we get into that door, all phones will be placed there. This is family time.
Hey, say that again.
We put that. I went in another lady's house and I really admired. Do you know his kids? And they are big, her kids, and they are big. When they get into the door, they place their phones there on the TV. All of them are kept there. We are having a family time. We will have dinner together. We eat together. We have things that we want to talk as a family. Then at 9, you pick your phones for 1 hour. Then we return them there and go to sleep.
Wow.
And this has gotten into the minds of those children and into their systems. They know what to do because it was not instilled. We sat down and agreed. What do you feel that when we get into the house, because we do not have any time to have family time, we all put our phones there, have our family time together, then we pick them for an hour, even mine as the parent. Then after that, we place them there and go to sleep. And that was it. So that is a boundary that we have set and nobody will cross because we sat down and agreed on the rules and the regulations of this house. Nobody gets into that door after 10. Nobody will open for you. So we sit down and agree. And the children hear and they understand. And this is what I try to tell parents. They hear. Don't tell me mtoto wangu asikiangi. You didn't do it right from the beginning. So she's wondering, why are you coming now to give me rules and regulations? We put them right from the beginning.
So we start from an early age.
This is what we do.
Yes, like me, I had that rule in my house. Hakuna mtu anaingianga in my door after 8. And we sit down and agree. This is it. Even my son, 8. Nobody should be out. When you start coming at 10, at 11, at 12, then you have become an adult. Go take your house and live by yourself. Nobody will ask you when you came and when you didn't come. You put it, it becomes a rule. So every time you will be out by 8, he will call. Mommy, can you allow me to be a bit late? I'll be home at 9, I promise. Because I am having, let me talk to your friend. Yeah. Then we agree. But we don't do whatever we want in the houses. This is where our children are going wrong. Because we did not set these boundaries right from the beginning. And so a child grows knowing that our family do not do this. In our family, we don't do this. In our family, we don't call people names. In our family, even house helps, we respect them.
Exactly.
We do these boundaries as early as possible. And our children will grow adapting them. But when they grow up, hata mti huwezi kuanza kutengeneza wakati imekuwa. Sitafujika tu. This is what happens. We put boundaries, rules and regulations as early as possible. Yes.
Now, before we get into now bringing up or raising a blended family, I want you to tell us, yes, how now do we bridge that gap where you discipline your kid, you want to bring them up in the right way,
Yes.
you want to instill discipline, you want to give them that freedom and that choice, but still communicating and showing love. How do we bring that, do we bridge that gap between, because now millennials especially, hawa kuzaliwa sasa, unlike our times, yes, you find that there's a very big, huge gap between us and them in terms of communication, because now they feel that we are behind in terms of technology and all that. How do we bring that discipline but still yet showing them love and making them feel appreciated?
We always say that the beginning of wisdom, the fear of God, is the beginning of wisdom. And I always tell parents, you come to realize that teaching your children to fear God is important when they get to teenage. Wakati wameanza kukua unruly, when they started taking back, when they started doing things that you cannot even control, that is now when you realize how it was important to take your children to church. But when they are young, when you are taking them for out, when others are in church, you are in
Bouncing castles.
Bouncing castles, and they are going for competition, dancing competitions of secular music
and movies,
and they are being given gifts there. You don't realize how important it is to take your child to church. And I am not saying that in church it's very safe. Actually, there is no place that is very safe nowadays. Even in church, youths are being taught even drugs, even in church.
Yes.
I know that. I am not ignorant of that. But I want to say it is different when your child grows in church. Take your child to school, to Sunday school, as early as possible. Let there be no argument about church. Like me in my family, I tell them, why are we arguing about church? If we don't argue about going to school, I don't want us to argue about going to church. If you are doing it for me, then do it for me. Just go there for me. And I will be happy just to see you. Even if you don't get anything, it's okay. Because I know he will only get one word that will control the behavior. Because in church, there is something in church that tells you this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. And even when you go to get into a bad company, there is a reminder of something that you are told in church. There is a reminder of the word of God in you. Because what you plant in that child, in the word of God, you might not see the fruits today. But with time, you will come to see the fruits. Because there is a praise ataenda, abie mambo ya bangi, and they have been taught. And then, I say, lakini kwa church, tuliambiwa something different. I won't do this. Taking our children to church, number one, is very, very, very important. Let them grow in the ways of God. Teach them to grow in the ways. Teach them what is right. The Bible says even when they grow, They will never depart from those ways. They will remember, mom told me this, daddy told me this. Read by example. And this is what I tell the children. You can't not tell the children not to drink, and you yourself, you are drinking. Then you are preaching wine and you are telling other people to take water. It's not possible.
We are the best examples.
We are the best examples. We lead by example. What we don't want them to, you cannot call your children a name and then when he calls someone else, unamchuna. What do you mean?
Yeah, double standards.
This is what you have taught me. You have taught me that when I am angry, I should abuse people. You have taught me that when a child angers me, I should box the child. Because that is what you do to my mother. When you disagree with my mama, you box her. So even me, when I disagree with a boy in school, I will do exactly what daddy does. So we are the ones to read by example. What are we doing? How are we showing our children? These clubs that we are telling them not to go, do we go there ourselves? And then unaanza kumwambia you buy pombe for yourself. He is also going to grow and get money. Do you think he's going to live to be a child forever? He's growing up. So lead by example as a parent. What are you doing? What are you telling your children? How do you speak? How do you relate with people? How do you relate with your husband in the house? Because the way we relate teaches our children how to relate outside. We call we call each other names in front of our children. This is what they will do when they go to school. And then when the teacher asks the child, anasema hata baba yangu aliita mama yangu hivyo. So let's lead by example. The way we behave tells a lot about how our children are going to behave. And as I said, disciplining is good. There is a point where we don't discipline anymore. Because the children of today, he's going to run away. And he's going to become a chokora. And he doesn't care. Do you know the children of today do not care? He will go outside there and become a chokora. And life continues. So there is a point that where we get, let us talk about issues. Let us talk. Let us keep talking. And these children of ours, they get disturbed emotionally and they don't say. So they grow emotionally disturbed, and he has kept quiet until he goes to the university. This is where he is introduced to what to do when you feel disturbed. He starts taking drugs, he starts taking baggy, he starts taking alcohol, he starts doing all sorts of things. And then when you come to realize these are the things that happened when he was young, how he saw you fight, how he saw the mother being fought by the father, and it disturbed him and he had no choice, because what would a child do to the father who is fighting? Actually nothing. He will watch helplessly when the mother goes through a difficult time, and then it disturbs him. Then he keeps quiet and he grows keeping quiet, emotionally disturbed. So when he gets to the university, this is where he gets friends who can introduce him to anything. Come. Oh, your dad fights. Just come, we will show you what to do. Then he will start taking all kinds of things. Then when they come to us, that is now when we ask them, how was your childhood? How did you grow up? Oh, I grew seeing my dad beat my mama. He used to hurt me so much. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't fight my daddy. So now you come to realize these are the things that are disturbing the child. Parents should know that what happens between an age of 3 to 15, a child never forgets. Between an age of 3 to 15, a child will not forget.
I was reading in one of my devotionals, and the author was saying that whatever happens in a child's life between the age of 5 all through to the age of 13 now manifests when he's a teenager.
When he's a teenager.
If there was abuse, if there was emotional abuse, if there was wrong upbringing, now when they are teens is when they start to rebel. That is when now they start to be independent, and now that is seen during that time.
Yes.
Is it true?
It is very true. As we say, between an age of 3 to 15, whatever happens there manifests when that child is a teenager or that university level. That is now when it manifests, and it really affects his self-esteem. And that is the time a child looks for identity. Who do I identify with? I can't identify with my dad. He used to beat my mother. So a child has no identity at that point. And that is what makes that child rebel and act out, because now he feels, I can't identify. Because boys love identifying with their daddy when they are teenagers, and girls love identifying with their mothers when they are teenagers. So this boy comes to a point where he can't identify himself with his dad. A man who fights, a violent man, a man who is never at home, an absent father. So he starts, these things now starts disturbing him. And that is when now he starts doing funny things. You look at your son. He was a quiet boy. He was a good boy. You could tell him, do this, he will do. He was an obedient child. Now you're wondering what has happened all of a sudden. He doesn't reason. He doesn't want even to talk to anyone. He locks himself in the bedroom and stays inside there. So now when you take him to a counselor, if you are wise enough to take that child to a counselor, that is now when you realize he will talk about his dad. You know, my dad is a bad man. He used to beat my mother. He is a violent man. He's never home. Now you will know that his problem is revolving around identity, because now he can't identify himself with this man. So parents should know that these things that we do and our children are watching, they will manifest when they grow up. When we want them to become people, when we are looking up to them, so that, because every parent feels proud when your child is graduating, when your child is having a family, when your child is marrying. These are the things that make us feel, you know, you did something. That is the time you will not have a child. Atakunywa pombe, atakunywa anything. He will do anything and everything. That is now when you start looking at a parent, hata wazazi hujiua then. Because now he's wondering, hiyo kazi yote nilifanya ni ya nini? I took this child to a group of schools, you know, good schools. I paid a lot of fees. I have paid a lot of money. Maybe you have taken even the child abroad, but the child has become useless.
Mzazi anapata pressure.
Yeah, because this is now where I want us to come, Helen. What do children need? What is this that the children need? So that we know that watoto hawataki pesa. They don't want money. You give your child money, he doesn't even know what to do with the money. Because the child does not understand the language of money. And when parents will know this, they will be happy, because children do not need money. They only understand one language, and it is the language of love. Be there for the child. The child wants security. The child wants safety. Anataka kuona baba yake hapo. The child feels very secure when the father is around. He knows hakuna mtu anaweza nitisha. Even when you find children playing around there outside, that is what they talk about. You think your daddy can beat my daddy? My daddy is a muscle man. So that child has so much security, he feels no one can fight the father. So when the father is absent, or when the father is doing things that are challenging the safety of this child, the child has no security. He's not secure at all. And these are the child who grow with low self-esteem. Huyo mtoto ukimwambia asimame hapa aseme poem, hawezi. Ukimwambia asimame mbele ya class aseme something, hawezi. Low self-esteem, because he has no security. A child wants security. A child wants to feel secure. Number two, providing is good. A child wants to be provided for. It's part of security when you provide what the child needs, but don't overdo it. Again, when you overdo it, you destroy your child. Because many parents, because they have failed, now they will overprovide. Atanunulia huyo mtoto viatu zenye hahitaji. Zitajaa kwa diro ajui avae nini. You buy this one, he says, I don't like this one. I like this other one. You go and buy. You over provide because you want, it's a cover up of the things that you are doing. No.
You want to compensate for the time that you are not there for that child.
Yes, and you think that that child will be happy when you buy 100 pairs of shoes. He doesn't care. He doesn't understand. Maybe even in the 100 pairs, he will choose one na ndio atavaa throughout na hatatoa. You've seen a child wears one pair and you are making noise. Why do you always wear one pair of shoes and I have bought, you know, so many shoes? And then he tells you, I like this one. Because he doesn't know how much they costed. Whether they costed 10,000 or 20,000, it doesn't matter to him. Because money has no value as far as a child is concerned. Take a child to baby class ya serikali. take a baby child to a baby school of group of schools. They don't know the difference. They don't.
True.
Because they have no value of money. Children value love. If you bring up your children with love, with security, these children will grow emotionally healthy. And these are the children, you will not see them. They will grow. Mpaka unajiuliza, this child, akienda university, he never changed. Even he doesn't look like he went to the university because he's just a cool boy. Even in the university, even wherever he goes, even outside the country. Very organized, very well put together. You are wondering what happened. This child grew emotionally healthy. There are people who are there for her. This is what children want. Just be there for your child. Just give her enough security. Raise her self-esteem. This child, the discipline we are talking about issues will not be there. She has no reason to act out. No.
Okay. Now, as we get into step parenting, where now one of the partners came in with a child or children, or both came in with children.
This is High Step Media Production.
Je, wewe ni msanii na ungependa kuchukua hatua kabambe katika kuboresha usanii wako? Je, wewe ni msanii mpya usiyejua utaanza vipi katika kufanikisha usanii wako? Je, wahitaji kufanyiwa video za harusi, matukio, dokumentari, au pia kutengenezewa filamu na kupigwa picha? High Step Media ina majibu kwa masuala haya yote kwa bei rahisi. Tutembelee pale Homeland au wasiliana nasi kwa njia ya simu kupitia nambari 0706299166. Karibu.
Kazi yao wanafanya ni kazi nzuri sana. Nimefurahia sana kazi ambao wanafanya.
Come High Step Media Production. You never know, you can be a star of tomorrow.
Step Media kwanza wana upendo, ni wakarimu sana. Na kama ni wakarimu ndio maana tumefika hapa tumefika.
Now, where do they start? What is the starting point now before they get into that and now the kids are acting out? The kid feels this is not my mother. This is not my biological
Why? What are you telling me? You're not my mom.
Why do you tell me that? Why should you come into my life and start dictating what I should be doing and what I should not be doing? Now, before we get there, is there any preparation that we're supposed to give the kids so that we are at par and they understand when we come in and we start laying up rules for them, they understand where we're coming from?
Are you married? Or you're dating? Do you even have plans of ever getting married? Or you are single by choice? Join me, Helen Kibali, on The Bond Show every Saturday at 2 p.m. on YouTube channel High Step TV as we dive deep into matters relationships, marriage, and parenting, and how these bonds affect our relationship with God. Let us learn together on ways we can improve and build strong, healthy relationships in the right foundation.
The Bond Show. Beautiful people, godly bonds.